Welcome to Interval Interviews number 13. Tom Gibbs. How are you?
I'm good. I'm surviving. Thank you, Tom.
Where are you in the
Bancroft.
world?
I'm in Scottsdale in Glasgow.
Okay.
Yeah, in my house.
Are you locked down?
Not fully. We're tier 4, I think. But I get to travel a bit because I teach out of Glasgow, so I get to visit Clackmannanshire. But that's
Oh, okay.
You can see
Wow.
it's a roundabout.
That's the view from your house.
It is.
Do you like ever imaginary machine gun people?
I'm not that kind of violent person.
Well, doing it imaginary is...
I like my neighbours.
Okay.
You do get some people who drive crazily around the roundabout, so could maybe take some pot shots at them. But
I think when I was little I used to do this imaginary machine gunning thing. I'm not quite sure why. It probably isn't a good sign.
as long as you're not doing it with a real machine gun, Tom, I think it's okay.
Yeah. So far that hasn't happened, but there's always the possibility I'll snap and go Michael Douglas in that film, Falling Down.
Yes, that's a good one.
And how have you been coping with COVID and the whole crazy year?
It's been interesting, hasn't it? It's been a long time. I think I've probably gone through a few different phases of disbelief, acceptance, and now I don't know what the current phase is. I'm kind of used to it, but I think it's, yeah. And I've heard a few people say this, kind of apologising for saying that they quite enjoy lockdown, but I have enjoyed some aspects of it, certainly.
What aspects have you enjoyed?
Having more time to do stuff at home. I think I was quite busy before with various things, and yeah, just having more time to play piano at home, spend time with my daughter, and yeah.
What you like with the mask on? Have you got the technique down?
I think I look pretty good. Got a few different masks that I use.
Have you got a beard a furry beard mask that just matches with your beard?
I mean, I think my beard is a furry face mask already, I guess. But
so you grew up, as far as I understand it, very close to Pathhead.
yeah, I grew up in Humby, so just down the road, and my parents still live there. So, I was a local, but I didn't meet any of you guys until much later on. Oh yeah, Pathhead hadn't become the mecca that it is now for creative individuals.
How did you get into jazz?
I mean, my dad always played guitar, still does play guitar in the house, and he plays some jazz. And he had a good friend who played jazz cornet, and he was my godfather. So he introduced me to some jazz, and I think I maybe played a bit with them when I was a teenager. And I don't know, I'd always kind of improvised a bit before I got into jazz in a kind of mock classical kind of way. I thought of myself as as a composer, a young composer. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I wrote little tunes and gave them opus numbers and things. So I had kind of these quite high ambitions for being a classical composer.
How many what opus number did you get up to?
Quite a few. I mean, I've still got them back at home, and I have looked at them since, and they don't deserve opus numbers. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I remember I did quite a few things. I had an old Mac with like a notation program on it, and I did what I thought were pretty serious compositions and got them played at school and stuff. But
I think we went to the same school.
we did. Edinburgh Academy.
And there's been a few jazz musicians come from there.
Who else come from there?
Jay Craig.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So he went to the States and played with Buddy Rich and a bunch of,
Yeah, I met him in Glasgow years ago. I didn't realise he went to the Academy.
Obviously, Phil Bancroft, the legendary chubby saxophonist.
The more famous Bancroft.
Well, there's several more famous Bancrofts than myself. My dad is a famous sexologist, and when he was the head of the Kinsey Institute for about 12 years in the States, and when my son went to high school, they had this lesson where they had to say one thing to sort of break the ice. Everyone had to say one thing that was true, one thing that was a lie. And my son said, my mum went to hospital and had her bag stolen, was statement number one. Statement number two, my grandfather is a professor of sex. And the teacher refused to believe that the professor of sex was the true statement, and accused Sam of lying. And then he ended up Googling my dad during the lesson, and he came up, and Sam was vindicated.
That's brilliant.
But I think because we played quite a lot of music at school. Did you play a lot at school?
It was really good for music. Philip Code was the head of music. He was great. And they did things like, they did a composer's concert, which, for example, which was a...
Did you produce some of your opuses for that?
Produced some opuses for, yeah. The teacher, had a great clarinet teacher, great piano teacher, and, they did things like tried to get us to play chamber music and stuff, which was amazing. So I think pretty lucky to have been there.
One year there was a Christmas carol composition competition, and if you won the competition, it would get performed at the Christmas concert in St Stephen's Church. I think there were 2 people that entered. One of them was myself. And I won. My Christmas carol got performed by the school choir at the Christmas concert in St Stephen's Church, and it was the most excruciating. There was a level on which it was the uncoolest thing anyone had ever done, and you could see everyone just going, what a sort of twat, what. But there was a little bit of me inside going, I don't care about your scorn and derision. I know I can do this. This is going to be part of my life, writing music. And there was a little bit of me that was really kind of switched on by the experience, even though large parts of it I was cringing in horror.
Funny because you typify the kind of the rugby side of the school, which I always which I really didn't fit into at all. But you actually have a foot in both camps. In what way do I typify that? Is it my sort of
just because you Neanderthal habits?
I think you were good at it, and you played in the team.
Yeah,
but then you also had a foot in the musical camp as well. So
yeah, we were sort of at our peak at school. It's been a downhill. You could sort of be a Renaissance person at school, and then everything's fallen apart since then.
Well, you have to pick a focus after that.
I know.
But I'd love to hear that carol, Tom.
The melody went da 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 da. The Saviour is born. The Saviour is born. Da 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 da. The Saviour is born today. Something like that. It's really extremely cliched. Had the word saviour in it a lot.
I'm surprised actually. I thought it might have more of less of a religious. A carol's always going to have a bit of that, I suppose. But
yeah, I didn't take the piss out of anything at all. So, what did you do after school then? Did you study music?
Yes, I went to York.
York,
England. Did 4 years at the music at the university.
What sort of music?
It was it's a kind of modular course, so you pick I think 10 different modules through the 3 years, and then they're all quite focused modules on one particular thing. So I did Indian music, Stravinsky, postmodernism, electroacoustic music. I can't remember. Some performance ones as well where I got to do jazz.
They sound like question categories on Pointless.
I don't know what that is, but yes. Well, I can't remember some of them. Some postmodernism I can't remember anything about, apart from the fact that it is way above my head conceptually. And
was any of it jazz related?
yeah, some of it. And actually, Julian Arguelles, who you know well, his octet was ensemble in residence for I think the whole 3 years. So they popped in from time to time and gave us masterclasses and stuff. And there were always a few players who were into jazz, and some kind of important guys who were a couple of years ahead of me when I arrived, who were really good and who inspired me to get better. Because yeah, most people there are like York. The music department's known for being really strong on contemporary music and also early music.
Now we're going to be showing this interview in the interval of this is we just heard Paul Tandro's first set with Playtime. What did you think of that first set?
Fantastic.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Love Paul. Love Paul. Don't see him enough. Don't hear him enough.
He's got very long hair. Since
does
lockdown.
he? Yeah.
And what's the plan for next week? Have you got are you bringing any opuses along?
Who's playing?
It's you, me, Mario Caribe, Graham Stephen, and Martin Kershaw.
Wonderful. I am, as we speak, trying to get some opuses together. So I think the thing, like I have been trying to write music, which I haven't been very successful at for a couple of years. But it's all been just me at the piano. So I need to shape some things into a suitable shape for you guys. And
okay.
that's I'm looking forward to having to do that. But I would also love to play some of your guys' tunes too.
Yeah, I think we're going to bring some tunes too. So it's going to be a mixture of glorious. I'll see if I can dig out the Christmas Carol. We can do a jazz version of it.
I think that would be fantastic. We don't want it to be too Christmassy, because people get sick of excessive Christmas stuff. So a little Tom Bancroft carol would be just the ticket.
You've got your Christmas tree there. It's very, very impressive.
It's actually I haven't had a Christmas tree in my house until the last 2 years as a kind of nod to my daughter. But in the previous house, I dressed up one of my bins and made a Christmas bin. But this is definitely this is an improvement.
How old is your daughter?
She's 10 and a half.
Okay. You don't look old enough to have a daughter that old. Well, listen, that's great. Looking forward. I've always enjoyed playing with you very much, because I remember the first time I played with you at Playtime, and there was something. There was something in particular about your comping, which is for the listener. The listener is playing behind the soloist as a piano player that I found extremely. I don't know, very stimulating. The drummer quite often bounces ideas off the piano player, and I found a way that you did that really unique. And I don't know if you think of yourself in that way as comping differently to other people. Just found it really beautiful, and lots of so many ideas coming off it.
I don't know. I remember you saying that, and I'm still very thankful So thank you. I've always really enjoyed doing the Playtime gigs, and I think maybe that one, maybe it was Horace Silver theme, and maybe I was channeling my Horace Silver. I always enjoy his comping. He's always he's always got a kind of strong thing that he's doing. That's nice. I don't think I used to enjoy comping. I enjoy comping now, and it's just kind of building. You're building something, building a groove. Or I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully it will be good next week as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you and playing with you. And thanks a lot for coming on.
Pleasure to talk, Tom. Yeah.
Tom Gibbs. See you next week.
See you next week, Tom Bancroft. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.